Hey everyone, welcome back to Live, Laugh, Lies. Today we have a really exciting guest. Her name is Gina. I do not want to tackle her last name again. Hey guys, welcome back to Live, Laugh, Lies. Today we have a really exciting guest. It's Gina from the Real Housewives of Orange County. She is such a boss. She's so cool. She's so down to earth. She just came in with such great energy and I loved getting to chat with her. I really admire her. I think she's like a real mama bear on television. She protects her kids, she protects her family, and I have a lot of respect for her. So without further ado, let's hop right in.
Everyone just wants to live, laugh, love. But in this disappointing world, there are many who are faced with lies.
Well, I felt stupid, Susie. I felt really, really dumb. And then you just make up lies to try and be in there somehow. Such a bait and switch. She was such a different person. It sounds like it's just blatant lies.
This is Live, Laugh, Lies.
Gina, welcome to Live, Laugh, Lies.
Thank you. I love how nobody wants to say my last name.
I know.
It's awful. I know.
I'm going to do an intro later and I'm going to have to listen to it 1,000 times.
It's really bad. It's Kirschenheiter.
Kirschenheiter. It's easy when you say it.
Once you say it, it's actually very phonetic, but
literally.
I understand it's very intimidating. It's 14 letters. It took my kids a long time to learn how to spell their own last name. I don't think Luca, my youngest, can do it yet. Still working on it. We're getting there.
Honestly, I couldn't either, and I'm 31.
I know.
So it's okay.
The worst part is it's not even, it was my married name.
Oh,
so it's kind of this is a tough bullet to take. But I had a friend who told me that growing up when her parents divorced, it always bothered her that she had a different last name than her mom.
Aww.
So I was like, I'm gonna wear this. I'm gonna take this bullet for my kids. We're just all Kirschenheiters.
You're taking one for the team.
That's right.
That's actually so sweet of you.
Kirschenheiter. Ooh, that's a name that might trip you up faster than a glass of champagne at a Housewives party. Let's just call her Gina K. After all, when you're as iconic as she is, one letter is all you need.
You are just the ultimate mama bear. You protect your kids at all costs.
I feel like everything I do is for my kids.
Yeah.
You know? And they are the priority, as they should be. So
what are their ages again?
Mine are 9, 10, and 12.
9, 10, and 12. Okay.
And then Travis, my boyfriend, has 8, 10, and 13.
That's a really fun
It's
group.
so fun.
Yeah.
I will be honest, because I'm assuming you do not have children.
No, I don't.
Okay. So when they're little, it mostly sucks, I'm gonna be honest. It's a lot of work.
Right.
And right now it's such a sweet spot. And I love hanging out with them. They're so fun. They're still sweet and kind because they haven't turned into teenagers yet. And I'm just really enjoying this particular phase of my kids' childhood. So it's really been nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
And that's perfect that you and Travis have the kids' ages align.
Yeah, it's so fun.
That's really
and they're
cool.
they're
Are they good friends?
Best friends. They love
so
each other.
cool.
Honestly, I don't know if it would work if they didn't get along, because it's already, there's so much about it that's hard in general.
Right.
So it's to add that on, but it really is a blessing that they all love each other and get along.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to dive into a little bit of your background, really.
Okay.
You've been on Housewives of Orange County for 6 seasons.
Yes.
Is that 6 years? Or is it?
It's been 7 years,
7
actually,
years.
6 seasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many seasons total are there of the Real Housewives of Orange County?
This was the 18th season.
Oh my
so I've been on
gosh.
for a third of the life cycle of it.
And so you're not an OG, but it kind of feels like you are, though, because I feel like you've been more of a consistent
character on it.
Yeah.
It's so funny that you say that, actually, Susie, because I literally just had this conversation with my assistant in the car, literally, because I was at a party. I was at that Kathy Hilton DirecTV party last night.
Oh, fun.
And it was super fun. And there was a bunch of, obviously Bravo celebrities there, but then there was also a lot of people that worked for DirecTV and bloggers and fans, and they all kept referring to me as an OG. And I was laughing. I was I'm not an OG. But I think that, because it's been a while, and that also because Heather was off like I didn't work with her at the beginning, and then she came back, and then Tamara was off and she came back. And I guess just with time, it just kind of seems like that. Like I've just been hanging around for a while.
You've been real consistent.
Yeah. And I think also like my arc of my life, like people have seen a lot. Like I've realized, and I don't know if you would agree with this or not, but for me, I feel like your 30s are for making like all your mistakes, and like really figuring out your life. I do believe that. And then I feel like as you approach your 40s, and I turned 40 this year, I feel like a very big shift, and I finally feel like a foundation, and I feel grounded, and I feel like I know the direction I'm going in. And I just feel, your 20s are fun. Your 30s are for like really figuring out what you're going to do here. And then in your 40s, hopefully you could just like take it and run with it.
That's the dream, because honestly, I thought it was like 20s were for fun and figuring it out, and then 30s I would be really established and settled, and it's really not. It's not there. I'm not there yet.
I think that's okay. I think it's really unrealistic to think that, in your 30s you would have it all figured out. I think it's like in your 30s you just, what you said, like you think it's going to be like that, and then the reality and the realization is, no, wait, now I'm really actually just done with like, your 20s are like you're young, perfect, everything's perfect. It's not like real. And then in your 30s, like shit gets real,
It's really real right now. Let me tell you, I am trying really hard.
But that's amazing, And then I think if you just grind it out and you're willing to like stay in it, like if you'll figure it out, or the universe figures it out for you.
For sure. And I think that's like, I believe that, and I know I have to like remind myself that, but it's so crazy how like your perspective just changes as you get older. And then I think also your 30s, I feel like it's such like an empathetic time, because you start to realize like, oh, this was the age that my parents were, and I looked at them as like these like figures that knew everything, had everything together, and it's like, oh, they were just humans,
right?
They were living for the first time.
Well, I think that's so true, because in your 30s, that's the first time you just start thinking. Period. You know what I mean?
Everything's developed.
Yes, everything's there. You're like, wait a minute. Yes, my parents were people, and now I'm these people, and now I have to figure it out. And you're really realizing you're on your own, and this is your life, and you got to carve it out for yourself. And you got to figure stuff out for yourself, and you got to take lumps, and then you got to get back up from those lumps. But I do think that I think the 30s wallop everybody, and I think in different ways. But I think that the most important takeaway is like how you recover from whatever is your bag of shit that you've been handed.
Totally.
Will really define you and your journey going into your 40s. So
I love that.
Every decade brings new challenges and new strengths. What a beautiful way to look at life and aging. In my opinion, we all get better with age. Just like a fine wine, Wisconsin cheddar, or a British tea.
Okay, well, I feel hopeful now.
Yeah.
Does this turn into an inspirational podcast? And I love it. I'm actually so here for it.
I'm a big manifestor person. I do believe in a lot of
that.
like, you serve me well. A lot of weird things have come to me in my life. So like, I believe in it.
Well, speaking of that, you're originally from Long Island.
Yes.
How did you end up in Orange County, and how did you end up on the show?
Okay, so it's totally by accident.
Okay.
So this is why I am this person that believes in this stuff. I was living on Long Island. I was a mom. I moved here pregnant with my third child, and I moved because my ex-husband's worked for a company that was based in Newport Beach, and he had a good opportunity come up to come over for work. And so I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's take this adventure and let's move. And so I just picked up my kids and my whole life, and I moved across the country. I'd never even I've actually traveled a lot in my life, but I'd never been to California.
Cool.
So when I got to California, I was like, oh shit, there's mountains here. Like I thought it was just the beach. Like I had no point of like geography. That's not like my strong suit. So I was like, wow, it's so wonderful here. And I love the lifestyle and everything. And then we originally rented a home in Laguna Niguel because we were like, we don't know where we want to live. And I remember one evening we went to his boss's house in Codo, which is Coda de Caza, which is like the home of like the original Housewives stuff, which I didn't even know that. Like I watched the show, but I thought Codo was like a cul-de-sac. We went to his boss's home, and I was like, this is the most beautiful place because it was all tree lined. And so far in Orange County, all I had seen was like the cookie cutter kind of communities. And Codo reminded me of the East Coast. So I felt comfortable there. So I was like, this is where I want to live. So we moved into Codo, and then my girlfriends from home were like, oh my God, Gina, that's where the housewives live. And I was like, oh my God. They're like, you're going to be the next housewife. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to be like the poor one. No, like what? Like, no way. Like we would laugh about it. And then my good friend Tatiana, I met her in Coda. We were both from New York, so we became fast friends. But I didn't know that much about her. I found out she was auditioning for Housewives. I was like, what's an audition? Like I didn't know anything about this. And then she did like a Skype interview, and then she had like a 9-page application. And at the end of it, it was like, if you know anybody else interested, she put my name and number, and they called me. And 2 months later, I was on the show.
Oh my gosh, hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. And I
That's
never
amazing.
pretended to be anything that I wasn't.
Yeah.
I drove a minivan because I'd given up at that point because I had 3 kids, 3 and under.
Yeah.
And I was just, I think it was just right place, right time. Now I look back and I see why I was casted, because I didn't know what was going on. And I wasn't trying to get on the show.
That makes sense.
And I think that made it more, and I was from the East Coast, and
You would spice things up
yeah,
too.
yeah. So it was very random, but also I think it was like meant to be.
Yeah. And so you had seen the show, but you weren't like a fan? Like you didn't watch it?
I mean, I was a fan in the
Oh, you were?
sense
Okay.
where I watched the show. Truth be told, I was more of a TLC person.
Okay.
Like I'm very into like, anything that's like my
Like-
600-pound life,
Yeah.
like anything that like with like little people, like anything that's,
Yeah.
I'm very like fascinated by people and circumstances.
Yeah,
So like
okay.
that generally, but I definitely had Housewives on, like all the other moms at home who had it on while I was doing the laundry and, in the background.
Yeah.
So I wasn't like fully invested, but I definitely watched it.
So were you intimidated when you showed up like day one of filming and you're like meeting these people that you've seen on TV?
It was so weird because for whatever reason, when they would come to my house and they would film a little bit at home, I was super comfortable. It just was, because they're like, just be yourself. And I was like, I know
Yeah.
how to do that. So I just did that. So it was comfortable. But the first time I had to film with the other women was at Cut Fitness at Tamara's gym.
Oh gosh.
And I remember being there, and I was allowed to invite like a couple of my girlfriends. So I did. And we were just inside the gym. And I remember in walked Emily Simpson, who's now one of my best friends, but I had no idea who she was at the time. So I didn't even know she was part of the cast. And then Tamara was there, who I'd met once before now at this point. So,
Okay.
but I was still like intimidated by her.
Yeah.
And then Dodd walked in, Kelly Dodd. And I was like, I can't do this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing this. This is so weird. Like, I feel so uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable. And I remember going in the car and being like, guys, I'm out. I'm not going to do this. This is just not, I'm not doing this. It's so bizarre. And I just like sucked it up, but I went back in there. Fortunately, it was actually a workout. So I think I was like very tired
Okay.
at the end of it. And I think I got out some of that like endorphins were going then. And then I got out some of my like nervous energy.
Okay, that's good.
And then, yeah, I mean, I just took it one day at a time. I just kept showing up, they're
Yeah.
like, just show up and be yourself. I wasn't like trying to make problems. I remember I pissed off Vicky Gunvalson at our first all cast dinner. And I was like, I didn't even know what I did. Apparently, like, I just like had an opinion, but like you weren't even allowed to have, like, I wasn't even allowed to be at the table
That's
according
tough
to
for
these
some
women when
people.
I first joined. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
was living, I didn't know that. And where I'm from, I'm like,
Well, I don't think it should be like that.
no, it
Also,
shouldn't.
I feel like as an
Yes.
East Coaster, like one East Coaster to another, it's
Yeah.
like I feel like the vibes are just different.
Where are you from?
I'm just from Virginia, but
okay,
I feel
but
like
still, you're my people. Yes,
exactly. In LA, when you meet other East Coasters, you're like, I get it.
Yeah.
Like I feel the vibe.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah,
but
it's a thing.
I love the West Coast and I love my LA people and
Yeah.
I love LA culture too. Like there's so much
It's
for
just
me here.
different.
It's just different.
Yeah. And the way that you approach circumstances and situations is different.
Mhm.
And because of those differences, you can easily kind of piss people off. And these women were, they owned this market. And I
Right.
just don't like subscribe to that philosophy. So like I just sat down at the
Period.
table, like I belong there because
Yeah.
like I was at the table with any other group of women.
Mhm.
And I think that actually has worked to my advantage in this
I love
particular
that.
crazy world.
I know you guys have heard me talk about RHOC on here before. We've talked about weight going up, going down. It's really just this vicious cycle of weight loss and gain. And I'm sure by now everyone listening to this has heard of Ozempic or Wegovy, and you've probably heard 3 things about them. They're effective, they're expensive, and they're really hard to get. That is where RHOC comes in. Through RHOC, you can get access to prescription compound GLP-1s with the same weight loss ingredients as brand name GLP-1s at a fraction of the cost. This is just like every other medication where if you get the name brand one, it's going to be super expensive, super hard to get a hold of, but they have all of these other kind of like off-brand prescriptions that are so much more affordable than the big name brand ones. So if this is something you're interested in, go to ro.co/live laugh lies. Memberships start at just $99 for your first month. Medication costs are separate. That's ro.co/live laugh lies. Go to ro.co/safety for black box warning and full safety information. Compounded medication is not required and does not receive FDA review or approval. RX only. Would you say there's like a low point and then a high point from your time on the show so far that you can speak to?
I mean, absolutely. I think that, I've had a lot of low points. I'll say.
It's impressive that you and everyone that goes on reality TV in general, like it's so impressive that you guys are able to like literally live your real life. Like I went on a reality show and it was like, oh, here's kind of like a fantasy world that you're living in for 2 months. You guys are like bringing the world into your lives.
Yeah.
And that's really hard.
It is really hard. When I first came on the show, my ex-husband was supposed to do it with me. And then his company he worked for right in the last minute shut it down. They were like, no, you're not doing this. And so I actually went back to the producers and I was like, guys, I guess I'm out because
he can't
do it. And they had made a decision to go forward anyway. So when I started the show, that's why he didn't film. And so I was just kind of out there on my own. And then there was a lot of stuff happening in my marriage and all of that. And everybody knows that like my ex had an affair, but that had happened like a while before I casted for the show. And we were trying to move forward with our lives and work through that.
Okay.
And so for me, I'm not the type of person who, first of all, I didn't even tell my parents about that. Like I
Really?
wasn't going to drop my pants and tell all my secrets
Yeah.
for an audience and America and a show when that's not how I truly operate in real life. In real life, authentically, I did not talk about that. So for me, that was something that like I chose not to share, and I'm not just gonna give that to be on a show. It's just not in my nature and my character.
Yeah.
And so then the second year when we came back, me and my husband had already separated at this point, and you know what, you have to share all that. And it's very difficult, and nobody could understand why I was leaving my husband at that point. If without this, so these women were all like, it must be, infidelity, abuse, like all this stuff. And I was like, to me, the reason why I was ultimately leaving and we were separating was because we were not compatible and we were not meant for each other. And at the end of the day, I still believe that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So
I get that.
I didn't feel like I had to advertise something that had happened like a year prior to me even being on the show as a justification for why I was leaving my marriage. And I didn't want to put my kids through that.
Yeah.
But then fast forward to a year later, I just went into filming. Also, I was in the worst point of my personal life. And then I got a DUI. And that was awful. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to own this. I'm just going to share this. And then that happened. And then we started filming. And then I found out that my ex was going back into this relationship with this woman that he had this affair with. And I was like, this is where I draw the line. Like I can do a lot and I can protect you in this a lot, but I'm not going to like sit on the couch with Andy Cohen and him be like, so is Matt dating anyone? And me be like, yeah, she's a lovely girl. Da, 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 da. I'm like, no, like I can't. And I was just like dying inside. Like when I look back at that footage of like, I remember looking distinctly at this one party and we were at Tamara's house and I had just found out and I'm looking at myself and I'm like a shell of myself. I was so sad. And I was like, if I don't start talking about this and opening up about this, it's gonna eat me up, And I just needed to start talking about it. And honestly, talking about all of it and sitting in a chair and being interviewed and over again and going through that process has been so incredibly cathartic that
so
now
amazing.
I'm like a big advocate for talking about your problems. I think I had this like, I'm a tough New Yorker. I could swallow this down. I could deal with my problems myself. This stays internal. This is family business. And now I'm like, no, like as a woman, when you're going through things, or a man, like you need to be talking about things and communicating so that you can process this stuff out.
I like so applaud you for protecting him to an extent for your children's sake. You know what I mean? I think that's so important. I think obviously your kids are also like at an age where they're going to be able to understand kind of what's going on around them. And if it's in the news, like it's good for you guys to talk about it and be aware of it. And I think as well, him restarting that relationship with that person would be that I cannot imagine how that must have felt.
It was hurtful. Yeah.
So
It
hurtful.
was hard. Yeah.
So painful. But I really, really applaud you for how you've handled it. I'm curious for like people listening because we talk so much about like affairs and cheating and like scandals on this show. And it's really hard for people to maintain like healthy relationships with their exes. And for some people, I don't think it's even possible or like good. And especially if you don't have kids, like sometimes it's like, okay, like, you know, sever those ties and move forward.
Then you don't have to deal with it.
Exactly.
That's the best option, really. So.
Exactly. Do you feel like it's because of your children that you've been able to maintain such a good rapport with him?
I think that at first you have to do it for your children. But I think that the goal is ultimately you really want to get to a place where you're actually doing and having forgiveness for yourself. Because when you forgive somebody, that means that you're healed from it. That's what I believe. And I believe that also you need to prioritize those things. Like if somebody does something to you, if there's an affair, first of all, affairs are just a symptom of a broken relationship, right? That's not really what ultimately breaks your relationship. You wouldn't have an affair situation if the relationship wasn't already broken. So you have to just like think logically about it and say, okay, that happened. That sucks. It's a betrayal, but like you just weren't meant to be together, you know, and something happened in that relationship and for whatever reason, you have to choose and want to move past that.
Yeah.
And also that is that person's bag of shit to carry.
Totally.
I can't carry that with me because I didn't even do that. So I don't want to drag that around with me my whole life.
Yeah.
I want forgiveness. Forgiveness is lighter. Forgiveness makes you feel good. And in my circumstance, what I will say is, because it's easy to sit here and say all of that, my ex-husband also did what he needed to do to step up as a person, as a co-parent, as my ex, in order for us to be able to both move on.
Amazing.
You know, so it takes two people.
Yeah.
And if one person is not going to be reasonable and own their stuff, take responsibility and recover well from their mistakes, then you can't co-parent, you got to parallel parent. You know,
Right.
and it just is what it is. But in my circumstance, I got lucky that, you know, I've made mistakes too. I own them. I take responsibility. I find personal growth from them. I'm lucky that my ex-husband did the same thing so that we can come to this point. But I really just think that when you do it for your kids but you really want to just find forgiveness so that you're not just doing it for your kids. Because even when you should always just do it for your kids. And I don't know why people can't, but
then I think that resentment can build. If you're doing it for someone else rather than yourself,
yeah,
then you're like, oh, I'm just like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet hole.
Right.
It's not really.
The goal is to release that.
Yeah.
The goal is to really move past that and to just put it what it is. Look, at the end of the day, most relationships don't
work out,
right?
Which is crazy. The statistics
it's
are
insane. It's more than 50%, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, why are we walking around like we're all surprised that they don't work out, or like it's this big stigma to or a failure or whatever.
Right.
Just let it go. Let it go. You know, it didn't work out. Like release it so that then you can move on and fill up your life with the things that feel good.
so true.
Here's an interesting tidbit. Research shows that people who divorce later in life tend to experience personal growth and self-discovery. Maybe the second act is better than the first. Like I said before, we only get better with age.
I feel like my ex-husband was very much supposed to be in my life. We have these 3 incredible children and we get to share that together. Like it still is one of the most important relationships in my life because we are committed to these 3 people that we have to get through this life, you know, and that is, we chose to do that. They didn't choose to do that. So now it is our responsibility to see that through, just because I'm just not into letting our inability to gracefully exit out of our relationship now hurt and harm these children that we brought into the world. I won't do it.
I love that. How did he manage when this all became public? Since it happened, obviously, a year prior to being on the show. You guys are working through it. And then when it finally came out that you guys were separating and the reason why, was he confrontational about it? Did he just accept it?
I mean, he's a stubborn New Yorker. It's not like he went down easy, but he went down, I give him credit. And like, that's ultimately like what needed to happen. Like, it was not like he was happy about it, but I do think that he felt, he's not this is what I always try to communicate too. I know my ex, he's not a horrible person.
Right.
He lost his way. And this was something that he did not handle correctly, but I know who he is. If he wasn't a good person, I wouldn't be able to move forward and co-parent with him and all of that. He made a mistake. And I think the fact is that he feels remorse for it. He has acknowledged that. He knows that that was on him. And he's chosen to, make himself better and then move on from it and find personal growth from it. And I think that that's commendable. At the end of the day, it's really difficult. I'm getting, it's a little scary to think about my kids now coming into this age where they can see stuff or whatever. But my takeaway and what I have to say to myself and remind myself is, at the end of the day, even when things got bad, we tried to reconcile and then that ended horribly. And then we had to recover from all that. But they know that their mother stood up for herself. And they know that their father took responsibility for his mistakes.
I love that.
And I don't know how my children could be disappointed in us as parents if they know those things.
Right. And as we were saying at the beginning, it's like, as you get older, you just realize we're all just human.
Yeah.
Your parents aren't superheroes,
Right.
even still with everything that we all go through. Like, to me, I look at my parents and they're my superheroes, but
Me too, but they're
I
human.
recognize they're human. Yeah, exactly.
And they have their downfalls and they have stuff that they did give to us that become our downfall,
Right.
and then we give to our kids, but every time, as long as you're trying to get better and your kids see that, I think that's the goal.
Yeah, I love that. Before we move on, I wanted to know, with the affair, did he come to you and tell you, or did you discover it?
I discovered it. It was a bad day.
In my cases, I've been cheated on twice, and I feel like I always had like a gut feeling, even though I could never like put my finger on it, but I feel like there's like that woman's intuition.
Yeah, I think in hindsight, it's like now when I look back at things, I'm like, oh, like, yeah, I think I did know something, but I didn't ultimately really know. And you want to trust that, even if you have a feeling, then you go back in that voice in your head and you're like, okay, but that would obviously, he would never do that. So I'm just thinking this, or I'm feeling this way or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was so busy at home with the kids, and I just, what I can say is what clocked me was it was like, for me, it was like before there was like nothing was happening. And then it was like in that one day, in that one instance, my entire life,
Flipped.
the rug was pulled out from underneath me. And it's like before then and then after then, and it's that feeling, and that happens to people with a lot of different circumstances, right? Anything you find out, anything that bad that happens, God forbid, yes, you get a cancer diagnosis. That it's before and then after an accident, life-changing accident, or injury or something like that. There's these defining moments in your life, and like that was such a defining moment in mine. But like, honestly, I am not even like, I am so happy with how everything is now.
Amazing.
And I look back
that.
at it and I think to myself, you know what the bottom line is? I never would have left my husband. And I know that we weren't. Now I know, like, I don't even know if we really were truly in love the way that like you really should be in a companionship. We were so young.
Right.
You know what
course.
I mean? And we didn't know. And we thought everybody else was getting married. So we thought that's what you do,
Of course,
yeah. And when you really find that person that you really do have that real connection with, they're not going to cheat on you. You're not going to have any of that. It's going to feel so safe and like home and so correct and so right. And you're gonna know, like you're gonna know. And then none of that is even a worry. And I didn't feel all the things that I feel now with my ex. And so
Wow.
now I think, thank God,
Mm-hmm.
because I want to be the good one too. It's not the worst thing when somebody has an affair and you get to walk away. You get to be the good one, you know? So I'm like, all this happened. I'm so
Right.
happy and I'm the good one.
Yes.
You know, it's not the worst situation to be in, you know?
Totally.
So, and I never would have left because I just didn't even think that was an option. I didn't know that was an option. I didn't think of that as an option. I thought I was happy.
And along with like all the statistics of like it being over 50% of people, marriages don't work out. I just think about the other 50 or whatever percentage is left that are still together. How many of those people do we know that are miserable?
75%.
So many
80%,
people that are in
yeah.
those like long-term relationships. And I know there's
Yeah.
like benefits to them, but I'm like, there is so much misery in the ones that people don't walk away. And
You
they're
know
just
what's so
unhappy.
interesting to me? I was listening to this podcast years ago, and he was a divorce attorney, this guy, and he was like very advocate. He said he believed that every young couple before they get married should go see a divorce attorney because you don't understand what you are giving away 50% of your children. You are giving away 50% of your 401k. You are
Yep.
this is a contract. It's a legal document that you're signing, and nobody even knows what the can I curse on here? Nobody even knows what the fuck they're signing, you know? So it's pretty intense. And then he also went on to say, he put it out there like this, and I don't know, I'm not going to put it out as good as he did, but he's like, if somebody told you, he's like, take exactly what you said, 50% of those relationships fail. And then out of that other 50%, you got to believe at least 30% are miserable, right?
Yeah.
If somebody told you, here's a car, 80% of the time, you're either going to be in a fatal car crash or you're going to be maimed to where you're miserable. Would you get in that car?
Hell no.
Why is everybody continuing to get in that car?
Everyone's getting in the
Everybody
car.
gets in that vehicle.
Yeah.
And it is pretty wild that we do, keep doing this dance over and over again. But I mean, people do it.
I know. It's like our culture. It's like our tradition, you know?
It's like you feel like there's this link of success or something with finding that partner and signing that document. And I'm like a believer in like now, I'm not saying I would never get married again. I might get in that car again, you know? But so I get it. But I do think that people should give it more time to settle in before they make that sort of forever commitment.
I definitely feel that pressure of like wanting to get in the car. I think that that's something for me being 31 and I haven't been married and I'm like, oh, like I want kids, I want this. But in the last like year, actually in the last few years, I've had more thoughts where I'm just like, do I just like figure this out? Like no paperwork or maybe paperwork, but not necessarily marriage. But I'm like, I want kids. I want a partnership, but like, do I need all the hoopla that goes along with it? Also a wedding, like the prices are outrageous. It's like such a
for
commitment
a party, for everybody else.
For everybody else.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've definitely been questioning my life a lot lately, and this is one of those things where I'm like,
Are you in a relationship right now?
I'm in a relationship right now. Yeah, it's been Actually, that's news to everyone listening.
Oh,
out
really?
there. Yeah,
Got the tea.
She's got the
scoop.
tea. Yeah,
I love that.
I haven't really talked about it on here since like the very first episode, but but yeah, it's like
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Okay, I love that.
But I think that when you're 31 and you're trying to figure things out, you're like, oh my gosh, like the time clock is like running out, but
it's really not.
But it's not.
It's not.
I know.
It's really not.
And there's so many things like accessible now as far as like wanting to have kids later and stuff too.
Yeah.
So I know, but
and this is what it is. The time clock is really your whole life. That's what you have, right? So it's like, why rush things? Why move through it? Plus, like, you're beautiful. You have all of these opportunities. You're riding this wave of success right now. And, you should do all the things. And if that includes getting married and that fills up your bucket, then like by all means do it.
Yeah.
But like, I just think you just have so much plus column stuff right now. And so like to be, even worrying about that or thinking that that's something that like you're feeling pressure coming down on you, I would love to see that like eliminated from how we as women think and we put this like societal pressure on ourselves.
Right.
We have to have the kids and we have to da-da-da-da. And you can have the kids without the man. You could, you don't even need that anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, Lala just had a baby.
Doing it.
Yeah.
I look up to her so much for that. I'm like, that is so impressive.
Well, and just as somebody who I see, when you sign up with somebody to have a kid with them, I don't care if you're in love with them, you're married, whatever it is, they are doing that 50-50.
Right.
So like for her to say, look, I did that. It didn't work out. I want another child, but I just want to know that I have 100% time and legal, decision-making ability when it comes to this child, because I don't know who I trust out there, but I know I trust myself. I give her a lot of credit for that. I think it was a smart decision, and she could still share her child's life with somebody, but she knows she's driving that ship, and I think that was like very smart of her.
So smart. Such a boss move.
Yeah, very boss move.
Yeah,
we
really
love Lala.
badass. And she's so hot too. I'm like, she's just killing it.
Yes, she's doing very well.
She's doing amazing. And okay, I wanted to talk about Travis, obviously. Like we've touched on him a little bit, but I'm like, I want to hear everything. Like obviously coming from your past relationship, you just said like now you feel comfort, you feel like it's home, you feel so many things with him that you're like, oh, it was never there before.
Yeah.
How amazing. How did you guys meet?
Okay, so we actually got set up. Travis loves to tell everybody that I slid in his DMs. It's like his biggest like claim or whatever, but which like I guess
his
technically I did, but we got set up through her name is Shay, and she was doing my hair and makeup at the time for like my interviews on the show, and she's just such a sweetheart. And her husband had worked for Travis at the time, had an aerospace parts company.
Ooh.
Boring, I know, but
that's like bougie.
Yeah, I mean, he had a
future.
private equity firm and for a while, but then like everything, we all crash and burn in our divorces, but but he had that at the time. And then Shay's husband worked for Travis at the time, and she was like, my husband works with this guy, and he's very sweet. He went through this divorce, whatever. Or he's going through this divorce, and I was like, all right. And I looked at his picture, and I was like, not sure if I was even like attracted to him.
Yeah.
But there was something about him that he just looked so kind, and he looked so happy when he was in pictures with his kids.
Oh, love that. The dream.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, that just resonated. He kind of stuck with me.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, okay, well, he's not attractive in those pictures because he just doesn't know how to take a picture or care about it.
Which honestly
is a great thing.
I was going to say, that's a really green flag for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very green.
Very
yes.
green flag.
And I'm like, and I can help you with that. I can make you look a little better in the photos now.
Yeah.
And so now we have it all. He apparently liked one of my pictures, and you know how it is. I'm like, how the hell would I ever see that? That was like I'm like, that was your shot? You shot? Really? And then knowing Travis now, I'm like, that is his shot. He shot, because he's just like, he has like no, he's not like he has no game track.
Yeah.
So I remember I was in New York, and I was with a friend, and he was like, oh, are you dating anyone? And I was like, no. And he was like, I was like, well, there's this one guy, and he was like, well, let me see him. He thought he was cute, and he's like, well, DM him. I was like, I can't do that, because I'm like actually pretty like shy. Like I was like, I'm gonna die alone. I'm fine with that, whatever. And I'm not like with guys, like I don't do a lot of the dating and whatever. So then he ended up helping me write to him, like DM, and then he wrote me back, and then we just like hit it off so well. And we were talking for like a few weeks, and then we went on our first date. And I swear to God, I was in love with him before I even went on that first date. And then I was just like, I hope I find him attractive.
Yeah, because that's like a big
It is. I mean, it's,
to
yeah.
go from online to in person.
Right.
The energy,
yes. Right. The energy, the vibe.
Yeah.
And then I was like, the first thing out of my mouth was just like, oh my God, you're so tall. Because I'm tall.
The dream.
Like,
Yeah, me too.
Wow. And I just thought he was so cute and so sweet and so kind. And he's truly been that person the entire way. Like I get choked up when I even talk about him, because he's like such a good person. He's such a kind-hearted, good nugget, that Travis. He really is. He would do anything for anyone, and he deserves the world. Like he really is just such a quality person.
Yeah.
And I feel like privileged to have him in my life. He's always looking out for me. He keeps me safe. Like if we're in a room, like he's always just like looking to make sure I'm okay, like kind of in the background. Like he's just such a solid person. He's the person you want on your team.
Wow.
And I feel really lucky. I feel lucky. I get sad because like we've had a rough year and a rough time, and it was really like, you know, and I have like guilt about some of my decisions throughout this process too. And I just feel really lucky that we made it through the other side of it.
Hell yeah.
And that we are able to figure it out and move forward.
I love that. You made me emotional just hearing you speak about him. I'm like,
I
oh my
know,
God,
I can't believe
he's
I'm
amazing.
surprised. I can't believe I just got like that. But
No,
I'm sorry.
I love that. That's the dream, is to go from, I feel like so many people resonate with feeling like their relationships didn't work out, whether they had kids or not, or they're married or not. And it's like, you just feel like, is this ever going to be my time? Am I ever going to be able to like just breathe and relax?
Yeah.
Like have the guy that will run to the car when it's raining and pick you up out front
Right.
when you're getting groceries, like things like that.
And
You know what I
always
mean?
get
Like,
you your snack and like
Yes.
always get you that cup of coffee in the morning. And like
Yeah.
always just like think of things that I don't even, he's so much better than me. I mean, I'm just going to put he's like that guy. Yes. Yes. He's amazing. So
that.
yes, I feel very lucky. And you know what? I kind of felt like I got dealt a bad hand because I felt like he was my karma. I kind of felt like I did deserve this person after
Yeah.
everything I went through. But then he came with a lot more than
Stuff.
what and I
Yeah.
was like, am I really, it felt so unfair.
Mhm.
Like, am I really this close to what I feel like I deserve and I want, and I can't have it because
Yeah.
it comes with all this other stuff that I don't know if I can handle, you know?
Right.
And this year has been about me really identifying that and like figuring that out. And ultimately, I just know that like when you really have somebody in your life that's in your corner like that, you can't let that go. Like you
Yeah.
really just have to, and all the other stuff will work out. You know, you need to define boundaries and things that you need to do to make yourself feel comfortable and, you know, work past things and safe and all that. But
Yeah.
then like, don't let go of that person.
That's beautiful. And for anyone listening that doesn't know, this past season, you kind of set some boundaries as far as living, and you guys decided to, and it kind of came from your end. You were like, I need
did.
my own space with my kids, and I think you guys need to live separate. You need to live separate with your kids. So I imagine that's a lot of what this is about too, where you're just feeling like you're having to fight through some really tough stuff.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to clarify or want to touch on for people to like better understand? I don't even know if you can, because I know a lot of it probably has to do with his previous marriage.
People understand that the situation that I'm in is out of my control. You get dealt who you get dealt. And that's why I say, you know, I know both sides of this co-parenting thing. I know where you lean in and where it's effective and you protect those relationships and that comes first and all that. And I know the other side of it where if you have somebody else who's unreasonable and there's other things going on that, you know, it's unfortunate, but like it's completely out of your control.
Yeah.
You have to parallel parent and you have to create distance from that. And you just have to do the best you can, you know? And I have been a victim of things on my side that fortunately we've all worked through and been able to come to terms with and move on from. Travis is a victim of a lot of stuff on his side. And it's really unfair to him, but I felt like even though I understand that logically, I was getting really scared because I felt it coming on me. And I didn't like it, you know? And I'm like, I don't need, it's already so scary to be in the public and the limelight and da-da-da.
Totally.
And I have children and I want to protect my kids. And then, you know, this person was just too much, crossing lines, not, you know, in a appropriate way. And it scared me. It honestly scared me. And I couldn't deal with it. I was like, I just need to take a boundary and take a step. Honestly, sharing that because I think that people really do get it. They read between the lines and all that. But I think that released me. It made me feel so much better because I was so scared that this person was going to come in and like, because she was like saying all these lies and saying all these things. And I'm like, I felt so vulnerable in this situation and helpless in this situation. And then I realized, wait a minute, I am who I am. I know who I am. I know the parent I am. And I'm just going to continue to show who I am. And then nobody's going to believe that, you know, and they didn't and they don't. And like that made me feel so good that like people could really see what's actually going on there. And now I don't fear it anymore.
That's amazing. I also think sometimes getting ahead of it is like so huge. Like that's something I've found. And it's hard because again, when it comes to the public, sometimes you're better off just keeping your mouth shut, and because it's a small voice, and you're like, okay, if I draw attention to it, exactly,
light.
You don't want to give it light. There have been
Right.
things for me where I'm like, okay, this is so bizarre, but like if I address this, it's gonna get picked up.
Yeah, you get some crazy chick out there saying something, or some ex-boyfriend or something saying something. You don't want to be like, oh, let me give you a platform to say all this crazy shit. Like, it's like you don't want it, so you don't know what the right thing. Plus, I love my stepchildren. So like, I'm trying to be as respectful as possible because
It's their mom.
it's their mother. And at the end of the day, I respect that,
Right.
you know, but it's hard for me when I don't get respected back, you know, and I don't know what to do with it. So I can only just do what I know, which is keep my, you know, morals and my integrity and how I'm going to handle this and walk through it, do the best I can, and try to protect these 6 children as much as I possibly can. And if something happens, it's not coming from me. You know, it's not from this side. So that's all I could do.
I love that. And I feel like anyone listening that might be questioning, I'm like, look at how you've handled things in the past. You've always like stood in the light. Like she's doing everything with integrity. She's doing it to the best of her ability. And you're only sharing what you feel is appropriate to share. And I feel like that's what people need to like take away from this. And I'll
take the hit for it. You know what I mean? Like,
Which
I'm
we
willing to
applaud you for
take a
that.
hit
Yeah.
for Travis, for my stepkids who did not sign up for this. And if there's anybody who wants to speculate or whatever, because I'm not able to talk fully transparently about it, I'll take that hit.
Right. And that's on them, honestly. I'm like, anyone that wants to do that, I'm like, that's on you.
Yeah.
Choose to live a weird life.
Yeah. Well, I think there's like, it's like all that and the social media stuff and whatever, but it's like there's people who are like doers and sharers, and then there's the people who are judgers. I can't worry about the people who are just sitting there judging. I'm too busy doing and sharing. That's what I signed up for, you know?
Period.
So I can't
love that.
worry about, somebody who's going to judge, and I will receive the light. There's a lot of people who are judging and they're like applauding you for the things that you're going through. You take those people with you. But the people who are just sitting there judging you or whatever, they're just somebody sitting on their phone or in their house judging you. I don't have time for that. I'm busy doing.
Exactly. I always think it's the people online too that are like they're giving all this commentary, they're making so much judgment. I'm like, share one little tidbit of what's going on in your life. I would love to know what's going on over there.
Yes. It's either horrible or just honestly nothing.
Or
right?
Or boring.
Yeah. And it is sad. It's like you have to wake up in the morning and go attack reality television stars on the internet.
Right.
You're not winning. You're not winning. So I can't worry about that.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not stressed about that.
No.
If you're curious about how people in Hollywood are getting these crazy snatched bodies, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It's called LAL, laser assisted lipo. And the results are incredible. I've been staring at these before and after pictures. I Google them from time to time when I just want to see what it looks like and see if I can convince myself to do this as well. These women look fabulous. I feel like so many people have had lipo and they just don't talk about it. And I feel like we're finally in a time where people are talking about what they've had done. And I'm personally here for it because I believe that you should be able to look and feel your best. If you want the insides to match your outsides and feel as beautiful as you do on the inside as you want to feel on the outside, I am in full support of that. And if that means getting LAL with our sponsor, Sonobello, you guys know I will support you all the way. Sonobello are offering you guys their best deal. You're now included in their Friends and Family Holiday Savings Event, which is amazing. You guys are going to get the Friends and Family discount. So save big during the Sonobello's Friends and Family Holiday Savings Event. Schedule your free consultation at sonobello.com/live-laugh-lies. That's sonobello.com/live-laugh-lies. It's great when you can get someone a gift they wouldn't necessarily buy for themselves that is a little bit of luxury that they don't know that they're missing. For quality gifts at an affordable price, my personal go-to is Quince. Quince lets you treat your loved ones and yourself with everyday luxury at an affordable price. I have several Quince sweaters and staple pieces in my wardrobe. Quince is just like a really nice go-to option if you want to have things in your closet that are affordable, but also luxury, and they're going to be in style for multiple seasons. So these aren't things that are fast fashion. They're not going to be things that you donate in a year or even 2 years. These are things that can stay in your closet as a staple for years to come. Something that everyone needs in their closet, in my opinion, is Quince's iconic Mongolian cashmere sweater, which starts at $50. I have this and I love it. It is absolutely a game changer. It's my go-to when I need something that looks semi-professional, but also like cozy and cute. And I feel like right now, with it being sweater weather, everyone needs one of these Quince sweaters. Gift luxury this holiday season without the luxury price tag. Go to quince.com/live-laugh-lies for 365-day returns plus free shipping on your order. That's quince.com/live-laugh-lies to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/live-laugh-lies. So what are your hopes for the future of y'all's relationship? Are you hoping that eventually you guys will be able to reconvene in one household, or do you think it'll be like when the kids go away to college, or is that just like something that you're not talking about or thinking about right now?
We've talked about it and thought about it a lot.
Okay,
Actually,
cool.
It's been a year. So I think that people kind of lose sight too of like because the
Time
show
frame.
airs in the time frame, but it's been a year. And I always said my ultimate goal was I felt this was a necessary step backwards to be able to move forwards. And that really is still, I maintain that really is what the purpose was for this. And in the last year, like we've just made so much progress together, like working this out, and things have changed, right? So like that fear that I had with his ex and all that, that's basically gone. Like
Amazing.
so I feel very good about that because it really was a scary thing for me, and I don't think people understand how much pressure I felt from that, and I've released it. So like that's so great. And Travis has also been able to like make a lot of progress on his end. We actually just together, so I don't think many people realize this, but Travis and I the whole time we've actually done the real estate venture together.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I have obviously Housewives and all the entertainment stuff. Travis has a full-time career that he does, and then we do the real estate on top of it.
Amazing.
And so very recently, we just left and joined a new brokerage, and we started our own real estate team called the Gated Group.
Okay, I was gonna say I saw something on your Instagram about this.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that as well?
Yes, absolutely. I would love
Yeah.
to tell you about the Gated
Yeah.
Group, the Gated Group, the Gated Group. Yes.
Let's talk about the Gated Group.
So we just started our own real estate brand and our own real estate team. And
Okay.
so now we're just like out on our own. We joined an incredible international cloud brokerage. We're with EXP, and we are absolutely just loving this shift. So basically now we're just able to market and brand ourselves. We're
Cool.
still doing the job that we were doing before, but like honestly for us, for this being like a secondary, we want it to become our primary thing that we're doing, right? But like you have
sure.
to try to build it up. And so last year we actually had like a really good level of success, and we're really good at the job, and we
Nice.
really are good together as a team. So this year, like we're just gonna get after it and continue to build the Gated Group and our clientele and
Amazing.
serve the people, you know, and do what we do best. So I find it very rewarding
Okay, cool.
I know it's like, okay, you're a real estate agent. It seems like maybe a little lackluster or whatever, but like you're like helping people
Find their dream home.
their home where they make all their memories, where like they like raise their children, where they live their lives. And like I find something very rewarding about helping people do that. So
That's so
it's been
neat.
good to me. Yeah.
And getting into business with somebody can be tricky, but you guys are navigating it well.
Yeah.
Like, what do each of you bring that complements each other?
Well, I always say like I'm the front of the house and he's the back of the house.
I love that.
Yes, because it really is true. I love to be client facing.
Yeah.
I love when you talk about like real estate too, essentially like when you're going on the home buying process, it's really just shopping, right? It's like shopping with somebody else's money. I
literally
love
the
that.
dream.
It's
Yeah.
it's great. Like
Yeah.
I'll do a house tour any day. So I love all that. I love like the staging process, the interiors, and just like, you know, guiding and helping our clients through the process. And then Travis is just like so smart. He's like the brains and the heart of the brand, I feel like. And he just knows all the answers to all of the questions. He's like he looks out for our clients in a way that I think goes above and beyond than most other real estate agents. And he's just like very intelligent. So he can help people from like a higher level. He also has like his mortgage broker license as well.
Oh,
So like he
amazing.
has his eye on all of the marks. Yeah. So
Wait,
he's really good at it.
Is he the broker, or do you guys have a different broker?
No, we have a different broker, but
Okay.
he's actually going to get his broker's license
gotcha.
because he's
Okay.
like, why not? He also has a CFA, he has a master's in accounting from USC. I mean, he's very educated,
Yeah.
Travis. So
Yeah.
like he has it all. And I think it's so funny to me because Travis is that guy that like is most of the rooms that we're in, he's the smartest guy in the room, but you would never know it because he's so humble and
That's
he's
like-
so chill.
That's like truly the smartest person in the room.
Yes.
Because the smartest person in the room might be like book smart, but they're gonna like yab and yab and yab.
They're
and like,
talking
they're
about
talking
it.
about it. But then
Yeah.
like the
And then there's-
emotionally
yes.
intelligent person
Yeah.
is gonna like,
And there's like a low key, actually like smartest
Yeah.
guy in the room who just like sees things from like a different perspective from all angles, right?
Yes.
So there, it's just a different personality
oh, I love
type.
that.
And he is a puzzle solver too. And real estate is truly like, honestly, there's just so many problems that come up during the
Yes.
process of home ownership and selling. And he really just like is able to handle it in such a calm manner and fix everything. And then things end up being better than they even were before. So he's got a real knack for it and he cares. I think that's like the
Yeah.
biggest thing in this industry is if you care about the people that you're serving, it goes well.
I was gonna say, I feel like anyone that might be interested in buying a home, like the way you described him earlier as such a compassionate, like thoughtful person, I feel like
Yeah.
that's the type of person you want in your corner when you're looking to buy a home. You know what I
100%,
mean? Not someone who's just
yes.
looking to collect a check, but somebody that
Right.
really cares about you.
So you hit me up, Susie, when you're ready.
I will hit you
Okay.
up when I'm ready to get
Yes.
out of this apartment complex.
Yes.
Get a little
Yeah.
studio space.
When you're approaching 40.
yes. I'll contact you in 9 years.
Yes, perfect. It's a date.
Before we wrap, I wanted to touch on a little bit of the drama from this season.
Yes.
There was a lot of drama, lies, and specifically when Katie, a new cast member that you brought onto the show, shared with Heather that you only kept her close because of some of her real estate connections.
Yes.
You shut that down right away.
Yes. Because it was absurd.
What was going through your mind when you first heard this, and how did you feel having to defend yourself against someone that you brought into the group?
I felt stupid, Susie. I felt really, really dumb. I was like, I cannot believe I got played by this new girl. Like, are you kidding me? It was like
Literally.
such a beat and switch. She was like such a different person than the person that I had met. And I didn't know her long, you know? And honestly, from that point, I just got put on guard and I was like, okay, now I see you.
Yeah.
And I've really had no relationship with Katie since.
Really?
I'm not a type of person. I don't do lies and I don't do fake. I have had to work with a lot of different personalities and a lot of different women since joining this cast. And it's not always easy, but at least I know that these women are at least telling their version of the truth. They believe what's happening. I
Right.
never had anyone come onto the cast that was willing to just completely make stuff up. And that made me feel really unsafe.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it. And then I was trying to like say like, guys, like this is nuts. Cause I'm like, first of all,
Right.
let's just talk this out. DeBro came on the cast. I didn't even have my real estate license. So this was like what, a slow burn? Like I slow
Right.
played this woman
Yeah.
for 2 years. I was like, in 2 years, I'm gonna get my real estate license. And that's why
Right.
I'm gonna maintain this relationship with DeBro. Like, are you kidding me?
Right.
Plus, DeBro drives me nuts. I love her, but I'm fighting with her all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I really wanted that, I would just be kissing her ass all the time. And like, listen, DeBro is so supportive. She really is, like, as a person. And I look at her, you know, like she is so, she's like a mentor kind of to me. You know, she's a little bit older than me and she's ahead of me. I think she makes
Yeah.
good decisions. She's an East Coaster too. She's a New Yorker. So like, I love her. I love her.
Yeah.
But I am also very confident in myself.
Yeah.
And I'm not giving anybody credit for anything that I do. I work hard for the business that I had. Most of my clients, my real estate clients, have not come from the show at all. And in fact, most of them don't even know that me and Travis are on the show. And then they always end up finding out and they're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I didn't even know, you know? But really, so it was insulting to me on so many levels. And I
Yeah.
would never do that. I have too much integrity for that. And I don't need to do that.
You
So it's
don't
just
need it.
so
Yeah.
insulting on so many levels. And then I tried to communicate this to the women. And then slowly everybody else started to get burned.
Right.
Until we were at the end. And then she started telling lies about like Emily's children. And I was like, now I'm out.
Right.
So I really have had no contact with her.
Wow. Since.
Really I got through the rest of the season, cordial fine. The reunion came, I said my little piece because then I found out afterwards that like even the way she originally contacted me, she had lied. Like she contacted me on the premise that she needed a real estate agent and that she was looking to move to the area. She didn't even tell me initially she was casting for the show. And then she sat me down. I drove around for 4 hours looking at properties because she told me she was a South County girl. And then she ended up renting a house in North Orange County. And then she did tell me that first day she was casting, I gave her a pass. Even though, it was a red flag, I gave her a pass because I was like, it's uncomfortable. I get it. The thing that bothered me is that she told me, contacting me as she needed an agent and told me she owned her home that she was living in San Diego. And so I was like asking her, okay, well, what are you going to do with the San Diego home if you move down here? And she's like, well, we're not sure yet, da-da-da-da-da. And then come to find out she didn't own the home. That bothered me. I don't care that you rent your house or you don't rent your house, but I care that you lied to me. You're clearly not contacting me and you're not going to contact a real estate agent and then lie to the real estate agent. So it was very clear to me that she had no intentions of wanting to use me as an agent at all. She really just wanted to get on the show. And I freaking walked her right in the door like a ding dong,
That's so frustrating because one of my other questions was going to be, do you think it was like genuine misunderstanding or do you think it was just blatant lies? Sounds like it's just blatant lies.
I do. Yeah. And I do find that whole thing to be very dangerous, right? Because if you come and you have a sassy personality and you're kind of kooky, I can work with that.
Yeah.
But if you don't really know what's going on, you're very, very quiet, and then you just make up lies to try and like be in there somehow. And then like post-season, it's like you're just in your interviews, like tearing everybody up, but you didn't say any of that when we were filming. I don't like that. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it.
I don't blame you. That is wild.
It's uncomfortable.
It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are not on good terms. You guys are.
I mean, I
you're
would
not
say
friendly.
I just can't. I know enough at this point to know who I'm comfortable interacting with and who I just keep my distance from. And that's just, I don't wish her any ill will. But I don't know how to be friends with somebody that I can't trust.
I wouldn't either. I feel like lying is the biggest thing with relationships and like friendships for me, where I'm like, I can work through almost anything. Like people being abrasive, not even controlling, but like friendships where people get jealous or whatever. Like I can work through so much because I'm like, we're humans.
Yes.
We're humans. We have feelings. But I'm like, if you start lying, I'm out. Yeah. I feel you. What's the craziest lie you've heard or read about yourself in the media?
I don't know. You know what? I like what people like to do, which I think is insane, is like pull all court documents.
Oh,
so,
gosh.
probably the biggest lie I heard in the media is that I threw Travis downstairs. That's the biggest one, which comes up in the show, which is honestly, I'm very thankful that it did, because it is a lie. It's something that got put out there by his ex in like a court document. I mean, this is what I'm going through, right? It's really difficult, right? And then that gets, of course, incorporated into the show. But what I'm very thankful about is like, even Tamara's the one who brought it up, and I wanted to clock her, and she knows that. And I love Tamara, but I was like, why are you doing this? But even Tamara in that moment, none of the women really ever believed it. And you know that if they believed it, they would have used it to annihilate me, right? But she was bringing it up actually to attack Shannon, really. And I knew that, but I was still mad at her, because it's like we said before, you give these things life and then you don't know if they're going to get life. And that is something that is like, I'm like, first of all, I am the victim of TV. So I don't talk about, I'm not like championing this or like but like I would never do that. And so like anything like that really is very triggering for me. And I'm like, I don't want that. It's just so cruel to use something that actually happened to you against you, and none of it makes sense. It's so nutty. But I'm actually happy that it came out, because then everybody was just like, oh, okay, that's obviously crazy, let's move on. Yeah. And so now I could just move past it, but that was nuts.
That's a crazy one. I am glad it got brought up simply so you could address it, but
Yeah.
I would be pissed if
I
someone
know,
brought that up.
because it's, you know,
Because you never know how
accusing
people-
somebody of something that's very serious, and
Totally.
that's not right, you know.
Totally.
Like, say I have bad hair sometimes, you know, I had the whole stint with the extensions. I get it. But don't accuse me of shit like that, all right?
Oh, wait, I didn't see the picture of that.
Oh my God, it's horrible. I went through a whole.
think
That's a woman in crisis. I was in crisis, okay?
Honestly, we've all been in crisis.
Right,
And
that's
we've
what it
all
looks
had
like.
bad hair.
Yes,
I've
that's
definitely had my fair share of like clip-in extension, not even clip-ins, but just extensions in general, where like I'm like, the back of my hair is none of my business.
Right.
Don't talk about it. Don't show
Yeah.
me. Like, if you can see my tracks, I don't want to hear about it.
Right.
You know?
But unfortunately, when you're on reality television, that's not
The
really
back
the
of your
option.
hair
It
is-
does matter.
yeah.
Yes, that is, yes.
Yeah,
So,
that's fair.
yeah.
Okay, are you down for a little game of truth or dare?
Yes.
Okay. Truth or dare?
I'll do truth.
Okay. Which castmate do you think is the most honest and who is the biggest liar?
Well, okay, I obviously think that Katie is the biggest liar. I do. And the most honest, I actually think I'm very honest to be truthful. I think it probably is me. But I honestly think that a lot of the women are honest. I think that Emily is extremely honest. I think Tamara's maybe too honest, you know? I'm like, you need to keep some of your truth back a bit. But yeah, I think there's a decent amount of us that are pretty, I mean, Heather is honest to a certain degree,
Yeah.
you know? So I think we're all pretty, that's the job.
Yeah.
Is
Pretty
to
honest.
say how you feel. Yeah.
Right.
And I don't think any of us have a problem doing that.
I love that about you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, truth or dare?
Let's go truth again.
Okay. I feel like those are safer.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm lazy. I don't have to move. It's like that. Yeah.
Okay, what is a secret from behind the scenes of Real Housewives of Orange County that fans would be shocked to learn?
Shocked to learn. It's specific to me.
Okay.
One of my go-to moves is whenever, like, I mean, you all see my house, it'll be cluttered, whatever. But like, if it's ever really a situation, I take all of the crap that's like the laundry and the this and the that, and I put it in my kid's bathtub and I close the shower curtain.
Genius.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that didn't happen.
Right. Don't look in
Yes.
that
Don't
closet
look
right there.
Right. Yes. Exactly. We all have one of those.
We all have one of
Yes,
those. It's like
yes.
everything just goes in there.
Yes. Oh, and I could tell another one because people
Okay.
do find this interesting. And I just felt like people would realize this. But so our interview looks, we do them multiple times. So we have, I think, 3 looks throughout the season, but the one look you'll do like 4 different times on 4 different days.
Oh, wow.
So you have to go back and wear the same exact outfit, the same exact nail color, the same exact jewelry, which is not easy to do. So
That's
like
tough.
that's why sometimes people can spot, like, if I ever, they're like, why are your nails
earring.
red today?
Oh,
Because it's like, you know, sometimes you just can't pull it together. Or there have been times, I remember one time I like lost this whole bag of rings. It was like my 2nd season. I was like, oh my gosh. And I like literally had to like run to the mall and I just bought like all these rings that kind of look like them enough and
Yeah.
like hoped for the best. And
Did people notice?
you know, I probably, but
Yeah.
I didn't. I think that's kind of fun though.
I think
for
it's fun
people.
too.
Yeah.
We would do pickups on The Bachelor and you'd have to like put the outfit on from the first night.
Yeah.
And my earrings would be different. I wouldn't even notice. Like, I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't remember what I wore that night. So I'd put something on and then people would watch
People
and be
love
like,
to spot it.
Yeah.
It's like a Where's Waldo game or
Exactly.
something. Yeah.
okay, let's do one more truth or dare.
Okay, I'll do a dare.
Okay. Can you reveal the last text message sent to a castmate and what's the story behind it?
I can. Oh, well, this morning I texted Jen Padronte because I mean, I don't know if she wants everybody to know this or not, but like she had like a surgery this morning.
Oh.
It was something like a lady thing, like she has like a cyst or something on an ovary. So I just said,
Okay.
hey babe, hope everything goes well today. Thinking about you, heart. That one I'll share because that one makes me sound really good.
Yes,
Let's
yes.
go to DeBro. Oh, we're boring. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Love you, turkey. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you had a blast with the twins for their birthday. Love you too. And then I saw her last night and then she texted me on the way home. Love you. Heather gets so mushy when she has a little shamps. She really
really?
so much. She's so that's a side that people
love
don't know about
that.
Heather. Like she is when she gets like she's so fun when she gets like a little lit.
tipsy. Yeah.
And she's such a touchy feely, mushy, like I love you, I love kind of person.
That's so cute.
And I feel like people should see more of that side. There's so many
Yes.
sides of Dubrow that people don't see that are wonderful.
I love that.
And I hope that people continue to get to see more and more of her.
That's good intel. I love that.
I'm not going to share mine and Emily's though, because we're just always shit talking. So I'm going to not share those.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. We don't want to start like too much
Right.
off-season
Like,
drama.
let's,
we don't need the
let's
cameras
save
to roll
it.
again.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, before we go, we have a live, laugh, lie segment.
Okay.
If you could live one part of your life over again since joining the Real Housewives of Orange County, what would it be?
I truly don't think any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I've gotten to a point in my life that I'm so happy and thankful for. And I think reliving any part of that would not lead me to where I am now.
Love
so I
that.
would just leave it alone.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Is there anything that makes you laugh when you look back on your story? Laugh now.
Honestly, my friendship with Emily means so much to me. And whenever I get to sometimes fans on the internet will put together clip ups of Emily and I, and it is it's been a journey with her, and it's such an amazing experience to have with this one person. I mean, I really feel like all the women, it's like a sisterhood and you have such a bond with them. But Emily and I started this together.
Yeah.
And she's truly one of my best friends and most important people in my life. And I can't even think about doing it without her. So honestly, just all of the times that I laugh with her.
I love that.
It's pretty great.
That's a good one. And then what is the worst lie you've ever told?
The worst lie.
Or the best lie?
I really am not a liar that much. I really probably to a fault.
Honestly, I think that was my answer too. When I asked myself this on my first episode, I was like, I'm not a liar.
Yeah. To my own detriment sometimes. I mean, if I think of one after the fact, I will hit you up and tell you,
Yeah.
wait, I did lie. Yes.
Love it. Let us know.
Yeah.
But for now, you're leaving here with a clean slate.
Yeah. I'm leaving truthful. That was my first tagline. It was, I speak the truth, even if it sounds funny when I say it. And that's really who I am. And I think that they give us our taglines. They knew from the beginning that I'm a truth teller.
I love
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining
Thank
us on Live,
you.
Laugh, Lies. Where can people find you, and where can people find out more about your real estate venture?
Thank you for that. Our website is gatedgroup.com. And then we also, my handles are at Gina Kirschenheiter on TikTok and Instagram. I don't know why. I just had to make it as hard as possible for people,
Yeah.
but
I feel like if you just type in Gina and then
K,
Gina
it'll come up.
it'll come up.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It did for me.
Okay, amazing. Yes,
Yeah.
that's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much.
This was so fun.
This podcast has been brought to you by Podcast Nation.